Um, Say I'm at a really big construction company. We work across the entire United States, thousands and thousands of people. I've got to the executive level, so I have some degree of influence, but I'm not at the top, and it's a huge organization. And there's a lot of issues like high turnover and really non-existent culture, or just poor culture. We say this a lot, is turnover is very, very high, and the culture is just not really there. Where do you start in a situation like that?
Yeah, so that's what came first, the chicken or the egg. But it's actually, what's our problem? Are we losing people, and that's why we don't have culture, because no one stays here long enough? Or is it because we don't have culture, that's why we lose people? I'm going to go ahead and say we don't have culture, and that's why we're losing people. And so how do we start to build a culture inside of an organization? Well, there's a couple ways to do it. The first way is to model the correct behavior, right? Model the correct behavior about what we're doing and how we do it. And then the other important part is to capture the stories that make us who we are, which there's a lot of companies out there that don't do this very well at all. That's what culture is. Culture is stories from the past, where we came from, what we've done. Well, how do we do that inside of a construction company? Let's talk about the projects that we've done. Let's talk about what we've built. Let's explain how we have added to our community. Let's explain how people have risen up through the ranks. How about we make a story about the person that's been here for 34 years? How about we highlight them? How about we explain and show that connection between the people that are here and the company that we have? So we have to build culture inside of an organization. We have to. How do you do it? You model the correct behavior, and you have to capture the stories that represent who you are and who you want to be. I've joked about this. The Marine Corps does just an outstanding job of this. They tell stories about the Marine Corps. They had a manual that was released called "The Squad Leader Makes a Difference," and this was like a two-pronged attack. Number one, they want decentralized command, so they wrote a whole book called "The Squad Leader Makes a Difference." And then number two, in that book, they tell the stories of these squad leaders that made a huge difference. So they enhance not only the knowledge and understanding of decentralized command, they also enhance the culture of the Marine Corps. But if we're a construction company, think about what a construction company is. A construction company builds the economy inside this country, and on top of that, it builds the basically everlasting things that make up our landscape. That's what a construction company is. What an incredible story to be able to tell. I know when I work with construction companies, I'll drive around whatever city and they'll be like, yeah, we built that. That's 1974. That was 1993. That was 1995. That was a great job. We had a setback because this happened. But we were able to overcome it. So what are we doing inside the organization so that people understand not just what we've done, but who we are? Who are our people? Who can we highlight? What can we tell? You know, if you've got someone that's been working at a construction company for 28 years, that person's got some stories to tell. So let's tell those stories so people understand who, not just what we do, which they should understand that, but who we are and why we do what we do.
You're selling our business pretty well.
Yeah, that's why but that's funny because maybe talk about the SEALs, because for a long time you didn't want to tell stories. I wasn't a SEAL, but I got the feeling like anybody that kind of spoke out and told their story was kind of looked down upon, and what impact did that have, and could you build that, culture and that sort of thing? And now is it the stories are definitely out there. Has that changed? I mean, because we get construction companies that just don't want to tell those stories. I mean, they're like, no, I don't want to highlight the guy that's been there 27 years because somebody's going to take him. Okay, you can tell his story, but you can only tell his first name, not his last name, because somebody's going to come take him. Or
kind of 100 years and haven't done that. We're just fine.
Yeah. So there, it feels like it's the SEALs not wanting to tell a story but but it's funny that you brought that up because I think some of them get it and the others are all struggling with it.
So in the SEAL teams, when I got in the SEAL teams, there was very little external promotion of the SEAL teams. But that's not what I'm talking about. Inside the SEAL teams, the culture inside the SEAL teams was strong. Oral history, things hanging on the wall, flags from Vietnam War. Those things are internal to the company. They weren't external. So to do this inside of a company, you don't have to be external. You're trying to build the culture inside your company. There's a difference between that and marketing, right? Marketing, you can share some of that culture as well, but that's a different thing. I'm talking about if you want to build culture, that's an internal mechanism that you're trying to build. And you know what? Like you just said, oh, they only want to use your first name. Yeah, cool. Doesn't even matter because everybody knows who Fred is. Right. Everybody knows that, but we're telling the story of him and we're keeping this tight. Now, as you bring in people to recruit, you might want to say, hey, check out these things. This guy's been here for 28 years. This guy's been here for 24 years. Here's what they built. Here's what we've done. You start to get that stuff moving in the right direction. That's how you build culture. But you know, there's been a couple times where this thread has come through of like, we're afraid of losing people, right? If you're taking care of your people and you're treating them with respect and you're lifting them up and you're giving them a pathway, you're not going to lose people. Will you lose an odd occasional person? Yes, you will. But if you build an organization correctly and you treat people with respect and you're not paranoid about them leaving, like, you will maintain way more people than you would if you try and hide them and keep them down and not give them information. I'm telling you right now. And this is not at all remotely unique to the construction industry. It's not even close. It's not even close. Every single industry has this exact same thing. You want to talk, the technology industry. That's the way it operates. The finance industry, that's the way it operates. There's headhunters out there just actively prosecuting targets to try and recruit. This is every industry. The ones that do well are the ones that take care of their people. Right. The ones that take care of their people aren't worried about getting targeted. They're not worried. Come and talk to my people. You could talk to my people. They know what they have. And if I'm treating my people poorly, yeah, I'm paranoid. I'm paranoid that someone's going to come and take them. That's what I'm paranoid about. If I'm treating my people well, and I know that I'm giving them a good job, a good outcome, a good future, I'm not worried about losing them. And you know what? If somebody comes along and offers them a better deal, I'm happy that they got a good deal. I'm not going to slam the door as they walk out. I'm going to shake their hand and say good luck. And you know what's going to happen in 3 months? You know what's going to happen in 3 months. That place that threw out every lure that they could about how they were going to get this and they were going to get that and they were going to get a company this and that. Those dreams didn't come true. And they look back at me and said, man, Jocko took care of me. Jocko shook my hand when I left and said good luck. That person's coming back. That person's coming back. Talking about building relationships. I'm building relationships. I am building relationships with people and they're going to want to work with me because I'm going to take care of them. And somebody might lure them away for 3 months or 6 months or a year. And then they realize I got lured away. Jocko shook my hand when I left and I'm going to go shake his hand and come back.
Does that happen? It feels like, and I haven't worked in a construction company either, but it feels like when somebody quits, it's like, hey, there's a door. Like,
yeah, it's a lot of just kind of a fuck you attitude. But the smarter companies like Dylan did that with Brett, for example. Brett went off, his best superintendent, had put a lot of time and energy into, got this ridiculous deal closer to home, left for 3 months, found out all the promises were completely fake, came back, and now that's a very valuable, going back to stories to tell. That's a valuable story. Now when someone says, hey, I'm going to leave the company for a better opportunity, he says, that's great.
Go
Yeah.
Talk to Dylan.
Yeah. Talk to him about it.
Yeah. No, this is like, I mean, the fact that you just told a story that I just made up in my head, because I don't make these stories up in my head. I've seen this happen over and over again. And again, not just in this, I've seen it in the construction industry, but it's in every industry that there is. Take care of your people and they're going to take care of you.
Well, this is where extreme ownership comes into play too. A lot of companies, they just say, wow, our turnover is just really high. And then they're just like, well, but it is what it is. Like they just have that kind of attitude about it. And that's where extreme ownership should apply. Like, man, that's my fault.
100%.
Yeah. It's all so simple.
Yeah. It does seem simple.
On
it
paper,
does.
yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. But it's sort of like at the FTX, you look at the target and you think, okay, we're going to be able to do this. And then once you get in it, you forget and you lose yourself and you don't pay attention to the right things. So yeah, you gotta. That's why detaching is such an important part of being a leader. Not getting caught up in the situation, being able to see a little bit further away, being able to think a little bit more strategic instead of thinking tactically all the time. You know, thinking tactically is, hey, if you leave here, you're never coming back. Maybe I can get him to stay. That's a tactical move. It's a short-term possible victory. Long-term, it's a loser. Strategically, it's a loser.